Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with the Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza. Welcome to the SteelFlyers Sports Monday wrap-up show. We are joined by two of the best. That's right. We got them right here for you, and we're going to get into a bunch of great things. Pearls of Wisdom, he's going to give us all the NHL insight and the latest coaching changes and everything going on for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup. Professor Joe will get us all caught up on what's going on for the NBA playoffs and the latest happenings on the diamond. And your host, I'm going to get into the NFL and the meat of second week and also some college football, some big news happening there. So let's get right into it with Pearls of Wisdom. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm loving this summer NHL.
That's right, summer of NHL. So how about that? We got Game 2 happening tonight, Tampa Bay against Dallas. And what do you think?
I was like the last game I was saying, I was concerned about how tired Tampa was going to be. And they did look really tired. They looked really tired. So going now to Game 2, it's Joe and I were talking about this before. Like Tampa looked like they outplayed that game. If you look at the stats, outplayed Dallas in that game. If you look at the stats, because Tampa outshot them fairly significantly, which Dallas is wanting to do. But in that particular game, actually, Dallas pretty much did outplay them most of the game. It was just a third period where they got handed over power play after power play after power play, which is concerning that that Tampa got so many power plays and wasn't able to score, and actually have not had a good power play all playoffs. That's very concerning going against a goaltender of Hudobin, otherwise known as Howie Boolin by me a lot. Hudobin, who is playing like a lot of people are saying, Tim Thomas. So going into Game 2 now, I just have a feeling that Tampa was tired, and that I think Cooper is an unbelievable coach. There's something I haven't seen people doing with Hudobin that I would like to see a lot more, and that's passing from one end of the ice to the other super quick. People have been going back to the point, which is what we generally do when we have a hot goaltender, because you think, oh, we're not going to get one past them, so we're going to try to get somebody in front and tip it and all of that stuff like that. Common practice, right? Problem is Dallas has some of the best defense in the league to combat that. And they play a cluttered up neutral or center ice slot area game.
Yeah, they clog up the neutral zone pretty well.
Not just in the neutral zone, but right around the slot. They clogged that up pretty well. And Hudobin hasn't really been challenged side to side as much as I would like to see. So I'm thinking that in this game coming up, watch for Cooper to come to this realization. I really do believe he will. And we are going to see, especially Tampa with a little fresher legs and Dallas with a little more tired legs, we're going to see a lot of cross ice passing back to get Dallas off their. See, if we're going to stay in the middle here, then why don't we play in the corners?
Yeah.
And get them going back and forth, hopefully start chasing a little bit. And then
that's the way you can get Dallas. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what Tampa Bay is. They've got the players to do that. Tampa's got the players that have the skill to be able to play that type of game. So I think we're going to see that. And I think we're going to see Tampa probably take this one. But again, I don't think a high score is in the offing until I see Hudobin maybe show some cracks. I wouldn't want to go that direction.
Yeah. Well, Joe, what do you think about that?
I was going to say, me and Steve were talking before this. The one caveat to probably is if Stammer's back.
Yeah, because he's been skating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if Stammer's
he's getting
back,
closer.
that probably, I'm assuming, turns into a most likely.
Yeah, I'd have to say.
For Tampa Bay
For
winning.
Tampa Bay winning, yeah. Because
Yeah,
of the
I would have to
energy
say.
he brings. He already has been pretty present, even though he kind of tells everyone to talk to Hedman when they try to talk to him because he hasn't been playing. But he's still been present and
He's
will
there.
help
He's
you out
been
if
in the
you need it.
bubble since they've been here.
Yeah, I think if he comes back, that's the one thing that would definitely change the line, definitely in favor of Tampa, and not a probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100% because that's something that we talked about in our preview show, and that was something that I think that you brought up too, Joe, was the fact that if you don't get people in front of Hudobin and get him moving from side to side, he's not that kind of goalie where he's going to be popping around to look and see and that kind of thing like that, and they just haven't been able to do that.
Yeah. Now we don't
You know
think
what I mean?
so. With how it go, whenever anyone's hot, they can sometimes do what they haven't done their entire career. That also depends. Whenever anyone's just hot as a firecracker, that confidence makes you do things you never done before. So that's also we'll just see. Like Tim Thomas was not the most peachy clean, greatest career goaltender, but in big
No,
moments he was
clutch.
going to play like the second coming of Dominic Hasek half of the time. So if
Yeah.
that's the issue at hand now, then you might just be in a rough situation.
By the way,
Right.
Stamkos is doubtful.
It's listed as doubtful. Yeah. I know.
Like he will be
He's
listed.
skating. Yeah, he might not play this game, but look, I think that Dallas is going to continue to put the pedal to the metal. I think that Dallas is going to. I think they have found the chink in the armor, and with Point still hobbled, not being completely all the way back, Stamkos not being in, I'm looking for Dallas to continue on. If Point comes back and plays a little better and as something that we talked about previously as well, where if his injury becomes better because now they've had a day of rest. You know what I mean? So there's been some time there in between a game. So they've had some time to rest and chill out and whatever. And the game's not till late tonight anyway. So but I'm looking for Dallas to put the pedal to the metal and keep going. You know what I mean? This might be their time, and we'll see how it goes.
I also think Stammer's going to be listed as doubtful, even in the game he's playing. I would bet 9 out of 10 times he's going to be listed as doubtful, and then you're going to find out 10 to 15 before the game. Hey,
He's
Steven
playing.
Stamkos is playing.
Yeah.
That's going to be used as a throw off by Cooper. He's not going to tell you anywhere. He gave a little bit of a hint with the tune in to find out type thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, you ain't getting any more from him. So
yeah. Or if he lists him as doubtful and he comes out for the warm ups.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
this
is doubtful in the game he warms up too, because that's a mind game thing more than anything else.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be an interesting game, though. That's for sure. Pearlo, some other things happened this week in the NHL. We had some coaching changes, I believe, here happen with the Washington Capitals hiring Peter Laviolette.
Yeah.
Lavi.
Yeah.
Lavi is back in the Metro. Oh.
Yeah. I've been asked a lot about that. It's hard because to me in Nashville, I want to say this. To me in Nashville, Lavi looked like he needed a break. I'm a little concerned for him to go right back into coaching this fast, but he was looking pretty disheveled, honestly.
Okay.
So I'm a little concerned, but okay, he did get somewhat of a break. It's possible that he went and got some whatever it is that Lavi needs to be what Lavi can be, because we know what Lavi can be, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If he can come,
he was fired like the beginning of the year, though.
Yeah.
This past season, right? So he's almost had a full year almost.
Yeah,
I think it was more. Was he the beginning of the year or the beginning of the calendar year?
He was the beginning of the hockey year.
Was he? I don't remember.
I thought so.
That early.
But anyways, if
Maybe,
it's about a year,
yeah.
he maybe has had some time to clear his head or whatever it is and come back with a different. Let's just say this: I want to see a different Lavi than I saw at the end of Nashville.
Yeah.
That Lavi is not healthy for anyone.
Well, I think we have already, though. I will say there was an interview I was talking to you about this, Steve, that was on NHL Network that you unfortunately can't see unless if TSN or Sportsnet also shows it.
Okay.
But he talked like I got my family time. I needed my family time.
Yeah,
So
I
it
heard
seemed
that
like
one
he
too.
got that reprieve that you were hinting at to then go
Yes.
back in and just start kicking butt as a coach.
Yeah. I'd like to
Yeah.
see a good, healthy, living Lavi. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. It
If we
seems like
can
that's
see
going to be the
that,
case.
if we can see that coming to Washington, I think Lavi can do great things with that team. I think Ovechkin will embrace Lavi in that way. People talk about Lavi being a hard ass. Lavi's a fair ass. He's simply just going to call it as he
Yeah.
sees it, and if you don't agree with him, he's cool with that. But
Yeah.
whatever you do, don't act like you agree with him or disagree with him and not tell him. That's where Avi doesn't like you, and you'll see your ass on the bench. So in other words, don't be a whiny. No. So that's
Interesting way to put that there, Perlo. Yeah.
yeah,
Way to phrase that. Don't be
yeah,
a no. All
yeah.
right.
So yeah,
That's another
that's
technical term.
I'm speaking in this way because that's the way Lavi speaks. That's
Yeah.
the way Lavi is. Lavi's a straight out dude. This is the way he's going to be, and I think he's going to relish this because he relishes working with veterans a lot. And there's
He hinted
got a
at
lot
that
of
too.
them.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of them.
He did hint at that too. So you're spot on with that. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. He loves working with veterans a lot, and I think at this stage of his career, he's not really into wanting to raise up kids anymore. So this, to me, and Lavi has all through his career, he's been known to have a 3-year window. So he has a 3-year window, and in those 3 years, the teams will rock, and then all of a sudden, everything will start to slide.
Pretty much.
That I think a lot of that could be because of exhaustion. I think Lavi goes into it so hardcore and then kind of exhausts himself out on the other side. Guess what? Washington's got about a 3-year window. So
Left.
in
remaining.
that way, to be like championship level, I would say maybe a 3-year window.
Even with Hopi potentially being a free agent and, Ovechkin, the twilight in his year.
That's more beneficial than harmful, actually.
Yeah, I think
I know.
I think that's more of a plus than minus. But yeah,
Right.
so you know what? When I first heard this, I thought a lot like a lot of people were thinking that Lavi's not the right guy here. But the more
I disagree. I think Lavi's a great coach for the Capitals because I think he's going to give them the stability that they have lacked since Trotz was there. You know what I mean? And he's going to give them a consistent system and a consistent message.
I think Gallant could have did that.
That's why I was surprised Todd Reardon got hired as an assistant so quickly because he showed no stability whatsoever. The reason their team did good is because they were stacked. I mean, if you didn't do good with that team, you would have had something wrong. Like I
don't even think it was
coaching in the NHL if you did.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I don't even think it was fair to Reardon. I don't know how good of a coach he is because they never let him percolate and become what he probably can be. I have no idea. I mean, you're comparing it to
1 year.
One of the greatest coaches of our generation leaves
because he got them
2
last year, and then he didn't
this
do
year.
so well this year. And when
but still,
they win a cup with one of the greatest coaches of this generation, and then you bring some young guy that's never coached before into a room.
Yeah, that was also a bad decision.
To me, that's just not fair.
Yeah, think. So I agree. No, I think Laviolette is a good choice for the Capitals, and I think it's going to make the Capitals much more of a dangerous team, especially against the Flyers, and especially with what Laviolette's going to bring.
I was going to say that would be like if Buffalo, who has Kruger, who's a very solid coach that also knows a lot about soccer, but that's a different story. Who's a very solid head coach. And then they got rid of him. And if one of us went in to be a coach, like, by the way, you're the coach of Buffalo now. It's like, excuse me. No.
No.
Yeah, right. If he listen to Ralph, why do you think he'll listen to me? Like that's not going to work. No.
Right.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
that's my take on there.
Yeah,
I really hope it works out for Lavi because I really like Lavi. And,
yeah.
so I
Okay.
guess for the fact that I'm a Philadelphia fan, actually no, don't work out. It's okay.
Yeah, see, secretly we'd have to say
Don't
that
work
we're
out
looking
that
for that.
much.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
work out that much.
Be just enough to be behind us.
Yeah,
Be
Western Finals. Then okay, that's enough.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Okay.
just be good enough to be just behind us. So we'll take that all day long. and speaking of being good enough, we're gonna get into some real good stuff here too. This was week 2 of the NFL, and we're gonna get into some of that conversation now too. The first game, we'll start off with the Thursday night game, and the Browns did just enough to beat the Bengals 30-35. And I'll tell you what, Mayfield only attempted 23 passes, and he completed 16 for 219 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and a pick. But it was really the Chubb and the Hunt show. Combined all day, they had 210 yards. So there was no defense in this game. It was all offense. Joe Burrow, number 1 draft pick, looked amazing. He did throw 61, had 61 attempts for 37 completions of 316 yards and 3 touchdowns and a few runs.
But that for
But
your second game. Throw it 61 times, kid.
yeah, right. Who else you got on the team to throw to? I mean, they have everybody to throw to, but throw, by the way, second game, number 1 draft pick, throw the ball 61 times. Second game, he looked really good, though.
Mm-hmm.
All things. I mean, second game, the kid looked good. I mean, he was not the number 1 draft pick for no reason at all. Okay, this is one of those one times where I think the number 1 draft pick is actually going to come to fruition. You know what I mean? Where so many number 1 draft picks just fall by the wayside. You know what I mean? They see like they're going to be good, but
Yeah.
then they just kind of go away.
He's the only reason they lost by 5. They would have got spanked if Joe Burrow did not play as good as he did. That wouldn't have
Yeah,
been close because, yeah, Mayfield didn't throw a lot, but he controlled with his. He had that swagger back to him, which got him the 110 rating at the end of the game.
yeah.
Which actually beat Burrow's rating, but you're automatically going to beat a quarterback's rating when you throw 20 times to 60 times, unless if the guy completes like 49 of 60.
And he throws 2 touchdowns.
Which would be a historic NFL game at that point.
Exactly.
So
plus the fact that you have your 2 running backs give you 210 yards combined between them, plus 3 catches for another 23 yards. That's 3 touchdowns right there for them 2 guys.
Yeah, they have 2 pro potential running backs on their team. One that's only on their team because of stupidness off the field, and then another that is on their team because they got him themselves.
Mayfield played more contained than you usually see from Mayfield too. Actually, it looked like he was
more of a manager.
Yeah, he actually did play pretty relaxed, more than you ever seen him play. Even in his rookie season, he did not play that relaxed.
Yeah. Coaching changes will do that for you. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Well, that was the first game. That was on Thursday night. Now we'll get into the Sunday's results here, and some of the games that we're going to talk about today. You're going to see a underlying theme here on some of them. So the first one here is the Ravens pretty much dismantled the Texans, 33-16. It was the Lamar show once again. Only this time he was allowed to finish the game. He wasn't pulled the end of the fourth quarter there like he was in the first game. So, but look, let's face it, the Texans are minus their big weapon there on the receiving core, and you can't allow 176 yards and then allow the QB to do another 54 yards rushing. I mean, it's not gonna be a good day for you. So, Ravens take care of the Texans.
Edwards also had a very good game.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards, who's from Rutgers, which is not too far from me.
Yeah.
Had a very good game, and so did Ingram. So
Yeah.
and so did
Yeah.
Dobbins actually. Dobbins had
Yeah.
40.
Their running attack was great, man.
All three of the running backs did good. Yeah.
Yeah. Including Lamar. I mean, but it was just
Well,
basically, yeah, you can't give up that kind of yardage, you know what I mean, and expect to win. Now the game that definitely means more to me than anything, and that's the Steelers. We beat the Broncos 26-21, and I'll tell you what, we had some rookies step up and make some good plays, and our patchwork O-line looked pretty decent. Didn't allow for Ben's uniform to get too dirty, and Big Ben stayed upright for 2 touchdowns. So all in all, that was a pretty good game. We did kind of let Denver get back into it there at the end. We did lose some players in that game, which we'll get into here at the end of this, to injury. Drew Lock went down with a shoulder injury, and Sutton was lost also with an ACL and during the
they
game.
also
So,
said it looks like Driscoll will start the next 2 weeks. I just
well,
read.
yeah, because Drew
Lock.
Luck has got a shoulder. Yeah, that could be 2 to 6 weeks. So it depends on how that heals and everything.
So
I
it's
think
good
they
for
said it's
them.
a sprained AC joint or something. He
Yeah,
landed on his shoulder or whatever. You know what
it's
I mean?
good for them that he looked very good because Driscoll, we know during college, did have a couple maturity issues. Where now he
He looks
seems
good.
to
He looked
actually
good.
becoming a pretty solid backup quarterback. Now, can you carry that through if you have to play 6 weeks? That remains to be seen. If you have to play 2, that's one thing. If you have to play
Different, right?
6, that's completely different.
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. Backup quarterbacks, you're not really made to come in and be, you
Well, Nick
know,
Foles was.
right. I was just gonna say because that's the perfect segue because that's the next game I want to get into, and I'm sorry, Eagles fans.
Well, Joe was actually talking about the difference between a number one and not a number one is a number one has to be able to find ways to win. And they're going to hurt. They're going to be sore. There's going to be a lot of things where a backup generally becomes a backup because they can't do that. They have a skill set, and that's the only thing that their skill set will allow them to do. And it's all about adjustment, right?
Exactly. And coaches that's why you have backups in there. That's why they pay the money that they do for backups because you need to have a guy that can come in there and manage your scheme, manage your playbook, and manage your game day, your game plan. And take care of things. You know what I mean? That's all those backup quarterbacks really need to do. And Driscoll came in and played really well, and I'm sorry, Joe. The Eagles, they took one on the chin this week, buddy. I'm sorry. We were rooting for you, man. We were shooting for you, but lost to the Rams, 37-19. We'll just look away. We'll pretend like this didn't happen, and the 0-2 start was. We'll just pretend like it didn't happen, right? Should we go that way? Yeah.
Just sort of
Well, I
like
mean,
this.
golf. I've always liked golf. I also thought that they were going to lose. I went into that game going, we ain't winning this game. So I honestly did not think we were going to win that game. The whole you're flying west thing, that's a bunch of baloney. Teams are 3-0 that flew west in week 1. They're 2-1 in week 2. So if you're a better team, you're still a better team whether you're playing at 11 o'clock in the morning technically
Or
or
1 o'clock
at
in the
1
afternoon.
o'clock. Yeah,
Yeah.
because of your time clock in your head.
Whatever.
Usually the better team is still going to come out on top.
Exactly.
And that's what happened in this game. Henderson, who's a very really making a name for himself as a running back, Darryl did good. Brown did good again. You had plays too that would have gave you more momentum because Cup never fumbles, and he fumbled, and the Eagles just have no backbone right now. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That comes at them, they don't have an answer for, and neither does the quarterback.
Yeah.
You have a 56.5 rating when you're getting paid $110 million. That's disgraceful.
I would have to say yes on that one.
So
Whew.
yeah,
yeah. Do you see anything? Do you see anything good coming out of the Eagles this year?
I thought going in, which I got into an argument with Andrew about a week ago. We are a 9-win team at best
Right now.
So yeah, I don't. That doesn't really come right off as 0-2.
That's a tough 9-win team too. That's going to be tough to get those 9 wins.
Somewhat find a way. Well, yeah, that also depends if Dow's can figure out how to play a football game more than just in the last 3 minutes. So, because you still ain't getting anywhere doing that.
You
So
know,
that
no. And
that also factors. And also, if the other football team that they're playing doesn't completely blow a kick like the Falcons did.
I mean,
So, like, you're allowed
that's
to pick up the ball as the other team before 10 yards.
yeah,
The other
exactly.
team isn't, but you can.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was like a Pro Bowl play where everybody.
Everyone was like, "No, don't touch it, don't touch it.
But,
keep away, don't touch it."
no, but realistically, the Cowboys, with the way that game ended, deserved to win that game, and Atlanta
Yeah,
deserved to lose. They did
yeah,
everything to make themselves lose
yeah.
in this
No.
game.
Yeah, no. That's perfect because they came back from being down to beat the Falcons 40-39 there. That was the nail biter of the day. A lot of bad calls in that game too. And Dak, man, holy moly, that boy was just throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, man. Okay, he played up to his franchise tag money because he's getting what thirty point
Is that
eight million.
400 yards
Yeah,
and three? Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
that's
that's a
impressive.
big that's a pretty big game there, man, for sure. So no, I agree with you 100% on that one for sure. So the Cowboys were able to take care of the Falcons. Speaking of taking care of nail biters and stuff, how about the overtime game? The Chiefs coming back with a 58-yard field goal there at the end to take care of the Chargers 23-20. Patrick Mahomes, 3rd and 20, and he runs 21 yards for the first down. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 plays like that last year during the playoffs, where they were 3rd and 18, 3rd and 26, 3rd and 25, something stupid crazy like that. And he just does these plays like, okay, it's 3rd and 1 and whatever.
That's a good point, but I think everybody expects greatness out of Pat at this point. It's not surprising to see him do that anymore. It's almost like, yeah, he picked up a 3rd down at 21. Whatever. That's he's Patrick Mahomes.
The first touchdown that he got back was just like the play he made in the Super Bowl where he just chucked it over to the guy.
Yeah,
Like you don't throw the ball like that. He just
I do
chucked it
think
to
though
him.
we have showed at least offensively, especially with Kelly, that 4th round, I believe he was a 4th round pick of Joshua Kelly from UCLA seems to be
Yeah,
in and out pretty good. He played really good along with Eckler, and also, like I said beforehand, Justin Herbert didn't know he was starting and then played up to the best. If
agreed.
you come into your first start, he threw one pick, but if he didn't throw that one pick,
But he
honestly,
still played really well.
yeah, the Chargers might have won that game, honestly, if he didn't throw that one pick.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I
and that's
agree.
not on him either because he's a rookie. He went 22 for 33. The pick was on him, but I'm saying like he's a rookie guy got forced into playing literally the equivalency of Jordan in football. So
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
tough first game. People call Mahomes, so that's not an overstatement because you've seen multiple tabloids call and different articles call Mahomes the Jordan of football. So the
Can't argue that.
311 yards though for Herbert, and then he did take 2 sacks, but this is the Chargers. You got to expect to take a couple sacks when you play for the Chargers.
Yeah,
He had a 94.4 rating. He played very well, and he also had a rushing TD. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Good game.
sorry. I love Tyrod Taylor and always feel bad for how he can't find a place that he actually can play. But sorry again, Tyrod. I don't think you're playing again.
Okay, but see, here's the thing about Tyrod Taylor, though. If you're really just not that good enough and everybody else in front of you is playing better.
Well, the thing with Tyrod is, though, he doesn't turn it over. So if you want a
Okay, well,
quarterback that doesn't turn it over, like unlike a certain somebody,
okay,
uh,
but
yeah.
no, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. Ball security is definitely a huge thing here. But let's continue on here. We can say that Tampa Bay looks like they get their first victory from the Panthers, 31-17.
It feels like I sense sarcasm in your voice there or something.
What are you talking about, man? Sarcasm? No, man, are you kidding? I am so happy to see Tampa Bay lose.
Yeah, well, first of all, Carolina's done. Well, speaking of that other team, they're done. They're done. So McCaffrey's out for
Right.
4 to 6
Yeah.
weeks, or
Yeah.
they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're
So
0
whatever
2.
they
They have
had
the
or whatever
best
they
running
thought
back
they
out.
had, or
Actually,
Teddy
who
Bridgewater.
I call the best running back they have out, but then
I
that's
agree.
debatable.
I agree. Teddy Bridgewater starting for Carolina Panthers, and then Cam Newton, I'm sorry, Tom Brady starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was his first win. So I attribute it more so to the fact that the Panthers really just have McCaffrey right now, and they don't really have much of anything else. Because I really don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is the answer. I think they should have kept Cam Newton, but that's just my opinion. And
Bridgewater's a game manager. Cam Newton can be a game changer. That's
exactly. And you need to have that. You need to have that balance because you can't just have everybody focus on McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
that's
other thing is Brady didn't do great. He still fumbled. He only had an 80.3
I
rating.
know.
And he only threw like 35? Yeah, he threw 35 times and had a touchdown and a pick. This is his 4th straight game with a pick, and we're talking about Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You would think we're talking about Jameis Winston.
People should have realized that. I mean, it's a new. It's all new receivers, all new everything.
It doesn't matter though because the other games were last year. So
Right.
he started looking bad. One thing that me and Max Kellerman might actually agree on is the fact that Tom Brady, it's not a cliff. He was wrong on that. But since he revised his stance to he's in a ravine decline, I would agree with that.
Okay. He's just steadily getting worse
Of course,
instead of just dropping off.
Cliff means you have to have a puke.
Okay, all right, I'll buy that.
It would be
All right, I'll
more
buy that.
Yeah.
Is he retired yet? Is Tom Brady retired yet? Because I'm sorry. Is he retired yet? Did I say that? I said that out loud. All right. Anyway, so how about the 49ers, man? They pounced on the Lev Bell-less Jets to the tune of 31-13. However, after looking really good early, Jimmy G left the game with an injury, and then we also lost Nick Bosa in that game too.
Is there anybody left in their dressing room after that?
Oh, you mean
What is that?
two of their
body bags all over the place.
It looks like Nick Bosa is going to be down with an ACL, and then I think Jimmy G is going to be down for a couple weeks too. With an ankle, I believe. Is that what that is?
Ankle sprain.
Yeah.
So that depends on the degree sometimes, and then you have to. You're not going to play the same because you have all that wrap that looks like you're about to go into war on your
on your leg and ankle and everything, so it doesn't move or nothing. Yeah, trust me, I've had one of those, and they are not fun or pretty or nothing like that. So, but man, that even though they put up 31 points on the Lev Bell-less Jets, I tell you what, that's two guys go down, two big names go down. So that's kind of, I mean, are you seeing the running issue going on here? I mean, I think so. How about the Jaguars and the mustache, Gardner Minshew, 3 touchdowns going up against Ryan Tannehill. Boy, they lose the heartbreaker to the Titans, man. Tannehill with 4 TDs, 30-33 on that one. That was another close game there, too. And no defense? Minshew had 3 TDs. Tannehill had 4.
Well, Gardner also had 2 picks and a fumble, though. So they did play. Tennessee did D him up a little bit better than
they did.
Jacksonville D'd up Tannehill, which was basically
and Henry wasn't quite nearly as effective, but
them D'ing up Tannehill was basically just non-existent. It was like, oh look, there's a guy that I can throw this right through the head, through the needle for into this guy. Like when you have 145.7 passer rating at the end of the game, the other team's defense did not have an answer for you whatsoever, and you basically like, yep, I'm winning. Okay, great, we won.
Exactly. All right, we got the Bills take
winning.
Winning. Let's break out your tiger blood. Speaking of tiger blood, the Bills beat the their interdivisional rivals, the Dolphins, 31-28. That was a close one. The Vikings lose to the Colts, 21-11. That was the second game there for Phillip Rivers there for the Colts. Looked pretty good in that game. So Lions get housed by the Packers, 42-21, and housed indeed. Cardinals beat up on the team from Washington, 30-15. This is what I wanted to get into here.
One thing, though, on the Bills, I wanted to shout out Josh Allen for having the best week as a quarterback. He does get trashed for no reason sometimes. So
he is a good quarterback, and I really like the Bills picking him up.
24 for 35, 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 147 rating at the end of the day.
That's almost perfect. 152 is perfect.
152 is perfect. You almost had a perfect passer. And he was making throws where there was no blocking. He was making throws where he literally went this way and then went, okay, cool, now this side's open. And then literally ran across the field and would just launch it and make a perfect – that was the one question with Josh. Can he get accurate a couple years into the league? Well,
and running outside the pocket, you know what I mean?
And can he make the throws on the run consistently?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, both of this game at least answered those questions.
Exactly. But what I wanted to get into with this whole thing is this. We've lost some big names this week. And some of those big names were Saquon Barkley is done for the year with an ACL. They lost to the Giants or to the Jets, or I'm sorry, to the Bears, 13-17. We also lost Nick Bosa with an ACL. He's done for the year as well too. So that seems to be a running theme here. We also lost Sutton from the Denver Broncos with an ACL as well.
And we also might have lost Bruce Irvin on defense. Seattle worries that linebacker Bruce Irvin tore his ACL, but they're waiting for more to confirm it.
Yeah, exactly. Drew Luck's down. You know what I mean? Jimmy G's down. We got a lot of guys down this year, and I attribute this specifically to the fact that there was no preseason.
It was predicted. That's what was predicted to happen. Preseason's there for a reason. If anybody says, "Oh, what do we need preseason for?" I mean, it's ridiculous to think to not have a preseason, especially in football. I think you could get away with it more in hockey, to tell you the honest truth, than football.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They went from 4 months of nothing. They gave them 28 days, and bang, they were playing round robin games.
Pretty much. But football, I've had this debate I'm being from Canada, the people ask me, what's the toughest sport out there? And I'm like, for one game,
hockey.
It's football. No, football. One game, football.
Oh, one game.
Over the course of a season, you might be able to say hockey. But for one game, nobody takes more abuse than football players. That is a freaking unbelievable sport when it comes to the abuse. And if you're going in relatively cold with all the things your limbs got to do in a game like that, man, I think it's absolutely outrageous.
I would say it might be football now in general, because hockey's also more of a skilled game nowadays than it was when I first started watching hockey as a kid. Like when I first started watching as a kid, you had more of a mix of let's just destroy you, with
run over you, and
where nowadays you have way more skill mixed with guys that can destroy you, but they also have skill. You don't have any Riley Cotes running around anymore, really. You don't have any Donald. You don't have a lot of those guys anymore that don't have, because even Reeves, he has skill. Ryan Reeves in the playoffs, goals. He's not just someone that's going to go around whipping you and beating you up. That's not. So he actually.
You're not taking the impact in hockey. You never have on a regular basis in one game.
See, I disagree.
Especially certain positions in football some of those hits taken by receivers and stuff is, if it happened in a game, people would be like, okay, he's done.
I think the most comparable position in hockey to football would be center. Because if you're playing center, you're getting slashed on the face-offs. You're going to get body checked during the game and have to check somebody. And if you're someone like Bergeron, you're going to be blocking shots and doing all that good stuff. So if that might be, because even on defense, you're still playing defense. So depending the style of defense you play, you might be a forechecking defenseman, not a Robert Hagg that's bodying people up. So that's why I think center would be the most, because you're getting slashed on every faceoff. That's why Giroux had a couple hand injuries. So same with Lawton when he went back to playing center, got a hand injury. So
same thing too with JVR.
Other than that,
I played all the positions, and I'll tell you get the same abuse pretty much. Doesn't matter.
Well, no, I'm just saying you get extra at center because you're not taking a face-off as a defenseman.
True.
Yeah. Or you're not taking a face-off.
You're blocking more shots as a defenseman, though.
You are doing that, yeah.
So I played center for football, and I also played on the defensive line as a nose tackle. And I'm going to tell you something. Guys that play hockey are in way better shape than guys that play football, in my opinion. Okay, this is just my opinion. Now, I played football for over 10 years, okay? And I've seen guys in some sick shape and see guys do some incredible things with weights, and I'm just blown away by what these guys could do, okay? But when you have to skate back and forth up and down 200 feet for more than an hour every single night, and then you're getting slammed into boards that have no cushion. You're getting slammed against other people that have very little cushion compared to a football player who's wearing these really thick shoulder pads, really thick helmet, really thick thigh pads, knee pads, waist pads, chest pads, rib pads. Come on!
Yeah, I would agree with that more if we didn't upgrade the equipment. The fact that hockey equipment is getting as safe as possible nowadays, it's getting closer to the football level of equipment.
Agreed.
The speed in hockey now compared to before is
So
what
much
makes
more.
it so tougher.
It's so much more faster than what's going on in football. Look,
Well,
I'm here to tell you.
Faster because that's the reason why there's less physicality. The speed and skill asset has brought less physicality to the game. When people were slower, it's easier to hit somebody that
Obviously, yeah.
slower than it is to hit Steven Stamkos at full acceleration, trying to catch him going down the ice when he's not in.
No, I'm with you.
So or point. Try to catch up the blade and point to hit him.
Yeah.
Unless if he keeps himself
or McDavid or anybody.
Nice whole game, you're probably not hitting. So.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But I see what you mean though, because the football players have much more of an impact when they play.
They take impacts at a higher impact level than more often than in a hockey game. We do have hits like that, but they're not at the consistent level as a football game. Now, over a course of a season, I may say hockey because you're playing 82 games, back-to-backs, all of those sort of things like that.
That's not the same with football.
But in one game, football is pretty
insane. Maybe one game. Okay, I could see that. But we did lose a lot of guys this week, and I think that's attributed to the fact there was no preseason. And we didn't see a lot of defense this week either in a lot of the games where the teams were scoring more than 30 points. So I think that's another issue as well, too.
That's another
as far as
thing because your defense has to get in sync with each other.
Exactly. So the more time you spend on the field with each other, look, I'm a firm believer in the best way to get better at playing football is to play football. And that means putting a helmet on, putting shoulder pads on, and getting dirty. Sorry, just how I see it. Okay. So speaking about getting dirty, we got the Saints and the Raiders for Monday Night Football, and that should be an interesting game. I'm pretty much looking for the Saints on that one all day. I don't really see much going on for the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah,
Look, I said it correctly.
The Saints are hefty favorites in that game. I think they'll win. I don't think they'll win by much because they didn't play like the Saints. No. They played a good game and won. Well, they played a solid game and won is probably the better way to put that. I wouldn't describe that as good.
I agree. I agree. 100%.
And Drew, that might be the first game I've ever seen Drew Brees show that he might be aging.
I saw a couple games like in the last 2 years. I've seen a couple games where I've seen some chinks in his age where he's just looked like he's been a step off or just a slightly bit off on some of his throws.
A slightly bit off, sure, but he was pretty off in that. You never see Drew throw under 200 yards.
Yeah.
Drew Brees having a game of under 200 yards is like baffling. You're like, wait a minute, Drew Brees threw for less than 200 yards. What is going on?
Saints are my favorite team, so.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So go Saints, right?
For a little bit longer until Breeze is gone. Some sort of like concoction to give him another 30 years. But,
right. Good luck for that. Yeah,
that's why, eventually Father Time's going to catch you. Caught up to Brady a lot later than most. It looks like it's catching up to Drew. Well, not looks like. It is catching up to Drew a lot later than most. But I think the difference with Breeze and Brady is Breeze, because he's a smaller guy, has always had to be overall slide the pocket better than Brady. Brady's never
Brady hasn't had to move around as much.
He hasn't had to be a pocket slider because he can throw over people. Drew Brees can't
tall
throw
enough, right? Yeah, no, I agree.
Now he can because he wants to do it, but I don't know how he even does it because he can't see. Like some of the throws Breeze makes down the field, I'm like, how did he even see? But the difference here is, I think a guy that also gets beat up in the NFL the most for usually no reason because his coaching staffs have been pretty bad offensively is also Derek Carr. Like when you look at Carr, he has had he's had a staff that he did a very good job with. Then they changed the offensive scheme, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like the dude just had a great season, and you're going to change your offensive scheme?
Yeah.
Where now Gruden came in, and he doesn't even seem like a guy that's obsessed with Derek Carr, but he's still putting him in the best situations.
I know. I agree with you. Yeah.
The guy had a pretty good first game. He threw for 239 and had 107 rating. So, as long as you do what you got to do with Carr, you also have Booker and Jacobs back there. And then Jalen Richard usually has spurt games. He's one of those running backs that kind of has a game all of a sudden where he really goes off. And then other than that, he's more of like a backup platoon running back.
Yep.
So this game's going to be close, in my opinion. I don't think by any stretch of New Orleans is running away with this game. I don't think I didn't want to give it as an odds thing because one, I knew one of your teams was the Saints, but two, the other side is I don't want to bet on 100% Oakland winning, but I do think Oakland has a chance to upset.
You mean Vegas?
Or Vegas, yes.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay, because I almost called the Chargers. I almost called them San Diego, so it's okay. It's going to take a little while till we get it straight, but that's okay. No, I agree with you, though, man.
Wide receiver at tight end. That's the thing that makes him. Darren Waller literally came up as a receiver and then was like, okay, this ain't working as well for me. And then just went to being a tight end and now is great. So, like that. They have a pretty good team. When you get Gruden, the one thing you know you're going to get is smart people that fit into your system on your team. Are you going to be able to get a full team put together? That's more on the GM. But
he's got 10 years.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get it figured out.
Right. And Mayock, him and Mayock have got, Mayock's for 4 years and Gruden's on for 10. So we'll see how that works. You know what I mean? So. Speaking of seeing how things work, we had some college football receive some huge announcements this past week. The Big Ten has come out and announced that they are going to play football. They originally said that they weren't going to play football, and now they're going to come out and do a 9-game interconference-only schedule that will allow the teams to qualify for the BCS and also for the playoffs at the end of the season. That also means that we're going to see college football. Well, we got Penn State, Ohio State is happening on Halloween in Happy Valley. And then we also got the Pac-12 coming back on Halloween potentially?
The Pac-12 is the 31st or November 7th.
Okay. So they'll either come back on that same weekend or whatever, right?
The next one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like we're going to have pretty much most of the college football coming back. At least for some of the, at least enough to qualify for the playoffs in the BCS.
Fans and who's not having fans? That'll be the next question.
Well, yeah, because they are still potentially postponing games and still potentially they did postpone one game this past weekend and another game they canceled because of the coronavirus and everything like that. So they're probably going to leave caveats in there to allow for games to be moved or rescheduled or things like that, but they're not going to have a lot of wiggle room.
Oh yeah, rescheduling and stuff. I'm talking about some of these teams have let in like 17 to 20,000, depending on the
fans
load of your stadium. That's going to be the next question. Who in the Big Ten will allow people to show up? Who in the Pac-12 will, if anybody, will allow people to show up?
Well, I think, Pearlo, you were talking about before we went on the air that yesterday that there was a fan in one of the games that either he snuck in or something like that. And I believe NASCAR also did. They allowed up to what I think 5 or 7,000
Yeah.
fans.
One event they did, and it depends what state they're in for that, because it
Right.
depends if the state wants to allow it. Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah,
to know
and
what they're charging per ticket on that. It's probably pretty outrageous to get a ticket to go to
wouldn't
that.
that be interesting to see what they're charging for the tickets? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because let's
Yeah.
face it, they're not selling any tickets. Nobody is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, but boy, all the teams that had TV contracts and all the leagues and everybody that had TV stuff all set up, boy, are they okay now? You know what I mean? Like the NHL's done really well. I believe that the NFL is continuing. I mean, their ratings have dipped slightly, but for the most part, people are watching the games. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
they're doing well, but I mean, fans make up about half their income, their revenue. So there's a lot of, like, as far as NHL teams are concerned, they're not going to be playing to the cap now. Apparently, like a lot of teams are going to have an internal cap in place that they're not going to spend. They're going to spend 4 or 5 million under the cap to make up the revenue loss. So that is going
They're
to be
going to have to
The
do
other
something, yeah.
side of that is the cap staying and the most they think it's going to go up from stuff I recently read is 2 million at most.
yeah,
So that means you're looking at about
Over the
eight.
next 2 years.
3 4 years.
No, it's not going to go up at all for the next two, and then in that
Right,
year it goes
Yeah.
up, might go up to 84 million total at
right,
most. We're at 81.5 right
right.
now.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say. It's not going anywhere for the next 2 years, and then it'll go up, I think,
And
two
that's at
million.
most. It could be
Right.
8.5 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So and there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to suddenly be uh, looking to have to shed players because they're going to be over the cap.
Yep.
Okay. And that's going to be interesting next year for sure because Pittsburgh is one of those teams. We have a lot of guys that are coming up that are due to be signed and are going to be free agents after this season. And after this season, the cap is not going to go anywhere. And we're very much up against the cap right now. So Pittsburgh's going to have kind of the same issue that the Flyers are going to have, where we need to re-sign a bunch of our own players, and we're not going to be able to because we're not going to have the money.
are you talking about the Steelers or?
Yeah, the Steelers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I was just saying you said we. I figured you couldn't be talking about the Penguins.
No. The Steelers are going to have to be tied up against the cap like the Flyers are. The Flyers have a lot of players they need to re-sign, but don't have the money to do so because we're up against the cap so tightly. Pittsburgh's going to be in the same situation after this year. So we have to do it this year because most of our guys are probably not going to be back after next year because we're
Yeah,
going to be over the cap.
that is a good point. That is a good point. One more thing before we move on though with college football, I just got this update. Joe
Uh-oh.
Burrow's successor will be Miles Brennan to start for Louisiana State University.
Oh, there you go. All right. I've heard good things about that kid. Really good things I've heard about him. So it should be interesting to see how they go there for sure. So Um, what a great pleasure it's been to have both you guys on here. We've been able to cover pretty much everything that's happened over the last week, right? So we got Monday Night Football coming up tonight. We got the game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs coming up tonight. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to have 2 screens. I'll be watching at least the Tampa Bay game, and I'll be
Well,
checking on the Monday
here's the
night game.
thing for people that don't know. If you have NHL TV, that's why I'm trying to tell Steve he should get NHL TV so you can use it all over instead of the center ice because you can't use that all over and it doesn't work half the time anyway.
Right.
Because it's ran through a cable company rather than an actual company.
Oh, okay.
But the NHL TV, you have at least a split screen. I never tried to do it with more than that, but also hockey would be hard to watch in a quad box. With MLB, you can do a quad box. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think you could do that with the
baseball is
football one.
obviously a slower sport where football you have stoppages too. Hockey, I think it might just be a split screen, but that makes sense because watching 4 different hockey games in a quad box would not be the most easy thing to do either because hockey's pretty quick.
Okay, but I wouldn't put it past you, Professor Joe. I wouldn't put it past you, man. I think you could watch 4 games. What do you think, Perlo?
Well, I have watched 4 games at once.
See?
It's just difficult. That's all.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I didn't say it wasn't going to be difficult. I just said you could do it.
you could do it. It's just in a quad box too. It's smaller, so baseball.
And it's really hard to. Yeah, no, I've seen them. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've seen them for sure. So.
Unless you plug in your computer and then you let it quad box on your TV, then that would work. But
Yeah, that because as long as you had like a big giant 65-inch TV or something, you know what I mean. So
you could use an HDMI, and plug it.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So thanks, guys, for joining us, man. We're going to try to do this show every Monday and try to have a sports wrap up show here for you every week. So that way you can just kind of tune into one show and just kind of get a basic overview of everything that's kind of happened over the last couple of days, especially over the weekend and things of that nature. So stay tuned to this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Professor Joe, how can we find you and how can we follow you?
Well, of course, you can find at SteelFlyers.com all our good information, and JJBoric26 is my Twitter, and Overtime Heroics and Pub Sports Radio, the other two I write for and do stuff for that are not listed on there as of yet, at least because I have to talk to people to see if that's even allowed to happen.
Right, but I'm sure if you do, I'm sure we'll be able to get that taken care of for you, no problem. So, Pearlo, how you doing, buddy? Tell us how we can follow you, how we can get a hold of you. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Pearlo's NHL POW is my Twitter, but you can find all that information over at SteelFlyers.com. Fantastic website that's in the making right now, but it is up right now. You can go check it out. It's got some great stuff on there. You see Steel's podcast and all of our work there. So I'm really excited for it. And you will be too, I'll tell you. If you don't see it, you're missing out. That's where you can find me. And thanks for having me, Steel.
You got it. Look for this show to happen here every week. This is something we'd like to keep doing so we can bring you all the best and all the truth that we can possibly bring you here as far as all the sports is concerned. So just remember, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.